Good morning, my Real News Midday TV family. Thank you so much for tuning in this morning, and I'm wishing for everyone a wonderful and a productive day. And in the news this morning for December 18, 2023, 4 more charged in Yahweh case. 4 more people have been charged in connection with the case of 13 members of the St. James-based religious group Yahweh, who were arrested in June this year following a police raid at their Montego Bay compound. The quartet made their first appearance in the St. James Parish Court on Friday. They are Omar Johnson, Javon Johnson, Vera Woolery, and Melisha Thompson. 20 members of the religious group Yahweh were taken into custody by the police on June 30 at their Paradise Avenue compound in Montego Bay during a joint special operation of the security forces. There had been allegations of child abuse and assault at the compound, prompting the raid. 13 persons were subsequently charged. During Friday's hearing, the clerk of court informed the court that she had not had the opportunity to peruse the case file and was not in a position to say whether the 4 defendants could join the 13 defendants on the mentioned list or whether it should be separated. The clerk also indicated to the court that after reviewing the file, the prosecution would require 2 additional witness statements in respect of the 13 defendants. Every time the matter comes before me, I am told something else. We need to move forward. We cannot have a case like this on the mention list for a year, said the presiding judge Sasha Marie Smith Ashley. I have not been able to look at this file, and so I am respectfully asking for a date when I can properly look at this file, the clerk said. At that point, King's Counsel Peter Champagny said he concurred with the sentiments expressed by the judge. Your Honor, I agree with the sentiments expressed by the bench. We were told from September 15 this year that there were further statements to come in relation to matters on the mention list. 2 further witnesses' statements, and this has continued until today. Your Honor, what I've been asking for in respect of this matter is a trial date, the attorney stated. Smith Ashley concurred with Champagny, stating that the court requires a trial date, which was set for January 26, 2024. All 17 persons had their bails extended until that date. The initial 13 individuals charged are Rebecca Gallimore, Christopher Anderson, Nikisha Harding, Derek Clark, Rona Lee Maitland, Elisa Medley, Fabian Nelson, Franchine Paris, Jordan Spence, Joseph Hoskin, Oral Spence, Rayon Letman, and Ingrid Williams. The charges came only 3 weeks after the children of many of the accused were placed in state care. The police confirmed that investigators removed several exhibits, photographs, and other material of evidentiary value from the compound. The Yahweh compound, which is 2 doors away from the later Kevin Smith's Pathway International Kingdom Restoration Ministries, made headlines in 2019 when authorities raided the property, leading to the arrest of the church's leader and the removal of 3 children from the compound. The raid followed months of complaints from residents related to allegations of human trafficking, abduction, child abuse, and sexual assault. Port Maria transportation rift settled. Normality is expected to return to the transport sector in Port Maria St. Mary after the Transport Authority rescinded its decision to allow some taxi operators to utilize the transportation center, which sparked a protest from bus operators last week. The decision by the TA comes against the background of a protest by many bus operators last week Monday, who withdrew their services over what they claimed was an unfair advantage on the part of taxi operators plying the Grandtown to Uteria St. Anne route. A spokesperson for the irate bus operators, Marlon Bell, had earlier raised the concerns that taxi operators from Grandtown were encroaching on their passengers, causing them to lose a valuable income as their buses were left empty as a result of the decision to allow those taxis to utilize the transportation center. In the meantime, Ralston Smith, managing director of the TA, pointed out that they met with bus operators following the protest action last week and that the minibus drivers had outlined their dissatisfaction, which according to him has now been settled. All the issues were placed on the table, and we sought to come up with appropriate solutions to the problem, he commented. Of concern was the Grandtown taxi operators that the bus operators indicated have ventured into the Port Maria Transportation Center, and therefore we have taken the decision to treat with that particular issue and believe that for the most part, all the parties are satisfied. The bus operators are seemingly more satisfied with the outcome of the meeting. As was customary, the Grandstown taxis were expected to terminate their services in that community, but were allowed to park and engage passengers in the transportation center. This created a rift among bus operators who protested that decision after claiming that those taxis were infringing on their passengers. Insensitive, JCTU president disagrees with Walker's comments on immigration officers. President of the Jamaica Confederation of Trade Unions, St. Patrice Ennis, has described as insensitive the comments made by former head of customs Danree Walker about replacing immigration officers. Last week, Mr. Walker called for increased use of technology, thereby significantly reducing the number of immigration officers at the ports of entry. He contends that this move would increase efficiency with the processing of thousands of passengers. Mr. Ennis is strongly cautioning against the persons making statements that could seem to be an attempt to diminish the value of someone's work, in this scenario, the work done by immigration officers. Mr. Ennis affirmed that immigration officers are an important part of the country's border control and that their work is more complicated than is being suggested in Mr. Walker's comments.
We need to be sensitive in terms of how we talk about persons' work and their labor and acknowledge the contribution they are making, because indeed it is not only about interact, it's about security. And as the JCSA said, they are at the front line in ferreting out those persons who we don't want here or who are not traveling with the requisite documentation and so on. It is not just about stamping passports, as that made it sound, but I think there's not a great degree of understanding of the nature of their work, and perhaps it would have been best to at least take some time to know exactly what they do before making that kind of comment, which I deem to be insensitive to these workers.
Bankers Association suggests that consumers make more use of cards and online banking to overcome cash shortage. The Jamaica Bankers Association is suggesting that shoppers use their cards and online banking to purchase items and transfer funds in order to ease the cash flow crisis at automated banking machines across the island. There have been growing complaints about the lack of cash at ABMs, especially on weekends. But Audrey Togwell, president of the association, told the news that while discussions are continuing with various stakeholders about the crisis, consumers should consider alternatives to cash, arguing that most of the merchants who are transacting business over the Christmas holidays to have access to a point-of-sale terminal from various banks, which will facilitate debit card transactions. Similarly, she said the bankers are encouraging the use of online banking to facilitate the transfers and the movement of funds between individuals as well as between businesses. She says the recent attacks on beryllium security trucks and the vandalism of the machines have caused a cash flow crisis at ABMs island-wide.
There is a heavy demand for the ATM. We are well aware of that. We, however, have encouraged our customers to continue to use other available channels. We have a wide network of point-of-sale terminals, so we encourage our customers to use their debit cards at the terminal versus withdrawing cash and then using the cash to make purchases. Because most of the merchants who are transacting business over the Christmas holidays do have access to a point-of-sale terminal from various banks. So we encourage that. We also encourage the use of online to facilitate transfers and movement of funds between individuals as well as between businesses, because we recognize that there are some challenges that we're experiencing right now as in terms of cash in transit and transfers of cash in transit.
Ousted PNP Deputy Mayor allowed to preside over WMC meeting. Councillor Danree Delancy, without objection, presided over the first quartet of the Westmoreland Municipal Corporation General Monthly Meeting last Thursday, 5 months after being booted as a deputy mayor in that parish. The opportunity presented itself as Bertel Moore, chairman and the mayor of Savannah Lamar, called the meeting to order, informed the councillors that he had another critical meeting with the National Housing Trust and handed the gavel to his former deputy Delancy. At the time of Delancy's elevation to the chair, Ian Miles, the newly elected deputy mayor and the Jamaica Labour Party councillor for the Little London division, was not yet in attendance. However, even on the arrival of Miles, Delancy, who is the counsel for the Bethel Town division, continued to chair the meeting without objection, only leaving the chair on the return of Moore at the end of his NHT meeting. In July, 3 former People's National Party councillors resigned from that party and chose to sit temporarily as independent members before Miles and Garfield James joined the Jamaica Labour Party caucus to oust Delancy on a motion that he failed to execute his duties as a deputy mayor. With the JLP membership at the time being 4 to the PNP 5, Miles and James, who were self-declared independents, joined the JLP cause to secure a majority of 6, where they elected Miles as a deputy mayor. The third PNP councillor, Lawton Mackenzie, who had resigned from the party, abstained from the outing of Delancy and the subsequent vote for Miles on July 13 and has since returned to the PNP. Delancy has taken the matter to the Supreme Court, where he is contesting whether the actions taken on July 13 complied with the laws that govern local authorities and bar the WMC from installing or acknowledging Miles as a deputy mayor. The matter is set for January 8 next year.